and I'll compare who people want as their next Prime Minister. Let's take that straight up. And we'll do it in two ways. One, we'll look at where things are right now, because things are always need to be placed in a contextual perspective. Otherwise, people just put their own opinions ahead of the data. Now, at this moment, when this question was asked, who do you want as the next PM? 49% said they wanted Narendra Modi as the next Prime Minister. 49%. 22% said they wanted Rahul Gandhi. Now, there are two ways of looking at this. One, Prime Minister Modi's popularity and his approval rating is down 6% from the last Mood of the Nation in January this year. So that's a big fall, 6% down. Rahul Gandhi is now double of his popularity from the last time. So that's 22. Earlier it was only 11. That's an 11% increase. That's a big one. So now, you can say, okay, he's bounced back. He's 22 at one point in time. And I'll have that on the screen right now. Look at the same question in a historical arc. Now, if you were to do that, Rahul Gandhi, the highest that he had was in January 19, after the state assembly elections of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, when Rahul Gandhi went up to 34. That's the maximum the Mood of the Nation has had Rahul Gandhi at 34. The maximum Prime Minister Modi has been at in that historical arc is 66%. 66% was in August 20, which is after the Lok Sabha elections. After the 19 Lok Sabha elections, he was at 66% when he'd done a really good job in the first wave of COVID. That's the maximum he's had. So from 66% in January 20, he's come down to 49%. Rahul Gandhi was at 34% before the last Lok Sabha elections. He then came down. He came down. At one point in time, he was barely hitting double digits. Kejriwal was close on his heels. So there's been a big turnaround in Rahul Gandhi's fortunes, as our data shows. Double last time. There's a dip in Prime Minister Modi's fortunes, but he's still far ahead. Now, Rajdeep, everybody will look at this data in the way that suits them the most.
Absolutely. Look, I think if you looked at if India was a presidential system, if you were the US presidential elections, it would be a no contest. Yeah. That's the difference. And that's the mistake, again, to go to our pollster friends, that they possibly made in 2024 June. They thought India was going to have a presidential election contest. Yeah, India is 543 constituencies spread across different states with the diversity that you've just seen in states like Haryana and Maharashtra. But I think it also shows the challenge before the opposition. The opposition cannot believe that they've come of age. We are not in the age of Rahul Gandhi. We are still in the age of Modi, certainly still in the age of BJP, to some extent the age of Hindutva. And I wonder, Preeti, whether the opposition has understood that. Because, it's one thing to win your 230 odd seats that you've got as at the India Alliance, but you're still not 272. And the BJP on its own with 240 is still more than your 230 odd seats. Is that realization there, or does the opposition believe it's arrived and it's now only a matter of time before they'll sweep across from Narendra Modi? Is that a sense you get?
Well, if you look at the Congress per se, it seems to be understanding that, especially in the kind of alliances it's brokering for state elections as well. In certain states, willing to play the junior partner with regional partners. But I have a larger question, and I want to bring in Sheilaji, because in this number, if you look at it, if you see that drop in popularity for the Prime Minister, that would mean, Sheilaji, now I'll give you an example. When I went and covered the Haryana and Maharashtra elections the last time, it was Prime Minister Modi on the ticket. This time, we don't know if it's going to happen. Is there a sense in the BJP, it's time now to strengthen your regional leaders and not go by the experiments of a Madhya Pradesh, of a Rajasthan, or even the infighting we see in Uttar Pradesh? To strengthen your regional leaders.
First of all, these figures are very interesting, but I think this has happened because in the opposition space, there is more clarity and more space for Rahul Gandhi.
It is. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the point
which is good for country also, which is good for this entire secular liberal versus BJP ladai also, because Rahul Gandhi gets strengthened. Some leadership is there on the other side of Modi. Yeah. So I think this is a result of clarity.
Sheila, let's also give Rahul Gandhi credit. That this is not just a fluke that has happened.
No, I'm not at all saying it is good.
I'll just clear that. I'm not saying negative, but if you look, he works with the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Yeah. Proves himself that he's a far more mature leader that's there. He's on the ground, walked all that distance. he provides leadership to the Congress, and if you see the leader of the opposition, this comes after that, there is some senses that he has emerged head and shoulders above everybody else that was competing with him earlier, and has emerged as the prime challenger with caveats, which is very clear. The gap between them, Mr. Modi and Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Gandhi, is 27%, right? So there's still a long haul for him.
No, but
just to complete what Rajat said, he brought in a very interesting corporate thing, and you talked of how corporates move from birth to growth, maturity, but then you didn't add about decline. Every product has its decline. And that is a question we need to find out now. What Preeti raised, the fact is that, has he hit the decline phase or not?
Just a minute. Let me get political reactions to this, because there are two,
Amitabh Tiwari is also with us.
Anshuman Tiwari is still with us. Let's get this clear. Should these numbers be seen as a resurgence of Rahul Gandhi, or simply Rahul Gandhi consolidating his position as the challenger number one to Modi? That the other opposition challengers, whether it's a Kejriwal, a Mamata Banerjee, are all going down. Their numbers are going down and his numbers are rising. So is it a resurgence in that sense of becoming challenger number one? Or is it Mr. Modi, as Rajat Sethi suggested, consolidating his position without now ever reaching possibly the summit that he once reached a couple of years ago in 2024. Therefore, a brand which is stabilized but could face decline versus a challenger brand. Is that how we should see this, Mr. Tiwari?
See, essentially it is a mixture of both actually. So we don't have Kejriwal's and Mamata's number. I think they would have also declined substantially. And Rahul Gandhi is consolidating, or rather taking up their share of the numbers when you asked this question, who should be the best PM candidate. And it is also his resurgence, because in the last 2 months or 2.5 months, he has shown, at least to his segment of voters, that he has done relatively well as a leader of our opposition position. That's number 2. Number 3, if you see, the gap has reduced from 44% in in your earlier MOTN to now 27%. That's a significant reduction. What we have to say is that one brand is either at the peak of maturity or likely to enter the decline stage, whereas the other brand has moved from introduction to a growth stage. This is what is happening. The Modi is at the peak of maturity or likely to decline if the state elections are not in favor of the BJP, whereas
which is the last point you made is critical, because I think that really will tell us what happens in January of 2025, your next MOTN. Those state elections, we've got 4 state elections, out of which 3 particularly are critical because BJP and Congress are virtually pitted against each other, albeit with some allies on their side. If those 3 elections, Rahul, 2-1 goes to Congress, naturally the Congress will believe that 2024 June was not an aberration. If it goes 2-1 to the BJP will believe that 2024 was an aberration and Mr. Modi and the BJP are consolidated. So I think we are, I maintain, Rahul, in the stage of interval. We don't know which way the wind will blow from here.
Very transitional period, Rajdeep, because, just a very important piece of data. The drop, 8% drop of Mr. Modi's numbers, 6% drop, has gone largely into don't know, can't says. The jump of 11% for Rahul Gandhi's numbers have largely come from approximately 5% each from Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal.
Right. So the decline in them has
huge decline in Arvind Kejriwal's numbers, huge decline in Mamata Banerjee's national numbers, not in their state numbers. Please be very clear, very clear. Again, very clear. Their national numbers have shifted towards Rahul Gandhi. So, yes, there is a kind of complete synergy as far as the opposition numbers against Mr. Modi is concerned, but we are still to see the swing of pro-Modi or the Modi admirer to convert to become a Rahul Gandhi admirer.
In fact, that is a very good question.
That's a very critical
challenge for,
that's the challenge.
Shama Mohammed, what seems to be happening is a consolidation. You have a consolidation, Rahul, of these 2 big blocks. The BJP's bloc is about 10%, 12%, 13% more than the other side at the moment. The real challenge will come when BJP voters or those who voted for the BJP in 2019 or 24 start shifting the other way. CSDS's post-poll survey showed 1 in every 3 voters in 2019 said they voted for the BJP because of the Prime Minister. In 2024, it had come down to 1 in every 4. So there is a shift, but it is not as dramatic as perhaps some of the media commentary has suggested. I think that's what the numbers would show.
Everybody has a take on why 2024 Lok Sabha results were the way they were. We put this question to the sample in the Mood of the Nation poll, and I want to take you through the answers. What do you make of the result? Why did the overall picture emerge the way that it did? When this question was posed by C Voter to respondents in the Mood of the Nation poll, 37% said it's a vote for continuity and for Prime Minister Modi. 37%, the biggest number is that. Number 2, it's a vote against the arrogance of the BJP, according to 14% of the respondents. Vote for a strong opposition, say 13% of the respondents. The economy needs attention, say 11% of the respondents. So the biggest number there, Kaushik, is the number of people who say that this is actually a vote for continuity. I know everybody has their own hot take on it, but when you ask a massive sample that question, more than 1/3 the respondents say it's a vote for continuity, which is also, ironically, the exact percentage of BJP voters.
Exactly. What has happened is there has been a consolidation of anti-BJP votes, and that's why probably the numbers came down in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. And also with that, the redistribution of votes happened, and it worked in favor of Congress. That Congress is gaining. If you see all the numbers in every questions that we ask, the Congress is gaining, but not probably at the cost of BJP, but probably at the cost of its own allies or non-BJP parties in every state and nationally also. Because if you see the numbers also, if I go back to the main projections, has Congress gained in states where it is directly opposite to BJP? If apart from Maharashtra, I don't think in any states it has gained significantly in terms of BJP versus Congress fight. So the opposition space is empty. Rahul Gandhi is gaining, and as this analysis of this 2024 polls, it says that it's a continuity for BJP and PM Modi. Yes, you continue with lesser numbers so that you do not do the excesses and you take care of our concerns. That's what public mandate is. Yeah. People are not probably showing absolute faith in non-BJP parties. Of course, they gain because they got together. There is BJP, or you can call it NDA, versus India. Because in earlier polls, the fight used to happen, the opposition was fragmented. This time, of course, they gain. Some votes they have gained from BJP and NDA, but more so because they consolidated. If 3 people got together and eat the same. But you have to now look at the redistribution has happened. Congress is gaining like it gained in Maharashtra in many places, wherever it was not a player event, like in Uttar Pradesh. It used to get 1 seat, now it has 6 seats, it is making noises. So after this redistribution, probably there will be a question, okay, we fought, we control the BJP, but now are we giving space to Congress so that Rahul Gandhi gains? Now Mamata Banerjee and Arvind Kejriwal probably would think about, if they have national ambitions, they would think about, okay, we are actually giving too much space to the other person, which they didn't want.
Actually, it's a funny thing that you said, because, when we did the cross-tabulation, because we wanted to understand about how the BJP supporters and opposition supporters are looking at this mandate. And we did a cross-tab, Raj, to understand like that. So obviously the continuation part, Kaushik, just as you mentioned that of the BJP supporters is that. But it was very surprising for me that big number of opposition voters, their reason, the way they looked at it, they said that India needs a stronger opposition. That was the prime reason. And a significant chunk of BJP supporters, when they were looking at the mandate, they said this happened because of arrogance. Now, that's a very fine remark. Big number of BJP supporters looking at the reduced majority of the BJP saying or mentioning or blaming it on the arrogance, and big number of opposition chunk out of pure idea that no, we do need a strong opposition in this country. We cannot have a one party or one man thing like that.
And just add that number that you talked about, when we are looking at this, people said wanted a strong opposition, said 13. If you add the other numbers, which is that vote against the arrogance of the BJP, that's 14%, right? And if you go down, effectiveness of the India bloc, that's the opposition again, 7%. and anti-incumbency 5%. So if you take the numbers that said 37% wanted Mr. Modi for continuity, there's almost 39% that says we want a strong opposition. Whatever way you might put it, you might disaggregate it, but there is a solid majority that is saying the arrogance and we want a strong opposition. That's the thing that's going on.
Will the government complete its term? We asked this question to the entire sample of the Mood of the Nation poll. Again, everyone has a hot take on it. See what the data says. When the question was asked, will this government complete its tenure, 55% of the respondents said yes, 35% say no. Rajdeep, which side are you on, 55 or 35?
I've always said once Narendra Modi sits on a chair, he doesn't get off it easily. So, I mean, I've always believed that those who think that this government is going to fall in 6 months, 12 months, that's not going to happen. I think Bihar 2025 is the other big test. If I were to look at a 2-year horizon, sometimes we tend to look at everything as ball by ball commentary, kal kya hoga. I think there are 2 state elections that for me are critical in the next 18 months. One is Maharashtra, which comes up in November, because it will tell us whether I think the Congress's resurgence, if we want to call it, is sustainable or whether it was an aberration. And Bihar, because I think the Hindi heartland is where Narendra Modi built his image as this dominant leader. If Bihar turns in any other way, then I think we have in 2026 the possibility of new equations emerging. But until then, once Mr. Modi is on the kursi nahi chhodni hai.
I believe that these assembly elections this year or next 2 years have no impact on the way Mr. Modi thinks or behaves. I genuinely believe that. I think somewhere I have genuine reasons to believe that he's looking at 3.5. Modi 3.5. Yesterday the news was the census is going to be started. Within the next 12 months, because this time it is going to be a digital census, so it won't take 4 years of census doing pen and paper.
It'll be ready by 26.
26, latest by 26. Side by side there would be, because in 2025 we have mandated for the new delimitation by constitution, and we have got 33% reservation in.
Yeah, but
so I believe by the time we are analyzing the assembly elections and everything, Mr. Modi is going to reboot the entire system with the new census, new delimitation, 33% reservation.